There comes a moment when a single revelation turns scarcity into abundance, fear into faith, and doubt into divine certainty. That moment is the money break, through the world whispers about. It is not a secret reserved for a chosen few, it is a divine law written into the fabric of the universe. Money is not hiding from you, it is waiting for your invitation. Everything begins in the unseen. Your words, your thoughts, your beliefs, they are invisible architects building your tomorrow. When you speak words of lack, the universe simply mirrors back scarcity. But when you rise with boldness and speak abundance, heaven and earth conspire to deliver it to your door. Your voice is not weak, it is a creative force. What you declare, you attract. Money does not flow through fear, it flows through faith. Faith is the bridge that turns unseen wealth into visible reality. The divine supply is infinite. It is never diminished, never withheld, only unclaimed. You are not a beggar before life. You are an heir to an abundant kingdom. Stand tall, claim your inheritance, act as though what you desire is already yours, and watch the universe respond with precision. The chains that keep people in lack are not forged from steel, but from beliefs. The whispers of not enough are the oldest lies of all. Break them, tear them out by their roots, declare boldly, I am aligned with infinite supply. Everything I need comes to me in perfect timing. When this truth takes root in your soul, doors that were once invisible will swing open effortlessly. Gratitude is the great multiplier. When you give thanks before the harvest, you create the harvest. Thank the universe not just for what is, but for what is on its way. Gratitude waters the seeds of abundance, turning waiting into receiving. Fear has no power except the power you grant it. Money does not bow to fear, it flees from it. Faith, however, is a magnet. Faith calls forth the provision, the opportunity, the miracle. Fear closes the hand, but faith opens it wide. Speak prosperity as though it already walks beside you. Whisper to the winds, all that belongs to me finds its way to me now. Words like these are not empty affirmations, they are keys. They unlock the treasure chest of divine supply. Money is not your master, it is your servant. When you shift from chasing money to commanding it through aligned energy, you step out of struggle and into flow. Money is energy, it moves toward clarity, purpose, and power. And when it flows to you, let it flow through you. Become a channel, not a reservoir. Give with love, and the universe will fill your hands again and again. What you circulate returns multiplied. What you hoard withers. Today, choose faith over fear. Choose gratitude over doubt. Choose to speak abundance rather than lack. The money breakthrough is not in the distant future. It begins the moment you decide to claim it. Wealth does not respond to waiting, it responds to certainty. You were not born to struggle. You were born to overflow. And as you align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with this divine truth, money will not just come to you, it will chase you. It will arrive from expected and unexpected places. The world will call it a miracle. You will call it divine order. This is your moment. Speak it, believe it, live it, and watch abundance rise to meet you. Money is not some distant treasure hidden away for a chosen few. It is not a prize that only the lucky can touch, nor is it a force that only bends for those born in privilege. Money is energy, and energy is obedient to divine law. It flows where it is welcomed, it gathers where it is believed in it. Answers to faith, not fear to some. This sounds too simple, too miraculous to be real. But the truth has always been simple. The divine law of supply and abundance is constant, unchanging, and eternal. It is not swayed by the rise and fall of economies, nor the voices that cry, there is not enough. It remains untouched beyond human doubt, waiting for the individual bold enough to claim it. The world has taught many to believe in lack from the moment they could understand words. The whispers of you can't afford it, you don't deserve it, you must work yourself to the bone to earn a little, create invisible walls in the mind. These walls are not built by reality, but by belief. Money does not originate from labor alone. It flows through channels seen and unseen. It finds the one who recognizes that they are not cut off from the universal supply, but divinely connected to it. To know this truth is to stand on the solid ground of abundance when the world trembles with fear. There is a spiritual current that never runs dry like a river flowing beneath the surface unseen. But always there, those who understand this current do not panic. When conditions change, they do not scramble in desperation, for they know that the true source of wealth is not in the marketplace, not in the banks, not in the opinions of men, but in divine law, and divine law is always abundant, always overflowing, always ready to respond to unwavering faith. Faith is the bridge between what is invisible and what is visible. It is unshakable knowing that even when the evidence is absent, the supply is not. When one aligns with the divine law of supply, they stop pleading and start claiming. They stop begging for scraps and start receiving from the infinite storehouse of creation. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. A seed does not beg the soil to grow it. It simply roots itself and allows the law of growth to work. So it is with wealth. You do not have to chase after it. You have to root yourself in faith and allow the law to fulfill itself. Money, like water, flows to the open channel. It resists the clenched fist of fear, but rushes to the hand of faith. The mind is the first place abundance must live before it can ever show itself in the outer world. You cannot expect wealth to knock on a door guarded by thoughts of lack, doubt, and unworthiness. The universe responds not to words alone, but to the vibration behind them. A person may say, "I am wealthy," but if fear sits on the throne of their mind, the law responds to fear, not to words. But when one speaks with the authority of faith, with the quiet strength of knowing that divine supply cannot fail, then even the impossible bends. This divine law does not discriminate. It has no favorites. It does not look at the past, and it does not measure worthiness through human standards. It operates purely through spiritual alignment. When one believes that abundance is their natural inheritance, the law moves in their favor like wind filling a sail. The one who believes in scarcity closes the door to that same wind and wonders why their ship does not move. There are countless stories of those who stood at the edge of lack with empty hands but full hearts and watched money appear through unexpected doors. The law does not need time, it needs belief. It does not need a visible path, it creates one where none existed. The world calls this coincidence, chance, luck. But there is nothing accidental about divine order. Money appears not because it suddenly decides to favor someone, but because the person finally decided to trust the unseen supply. And here is the beauty of divine law. Abundance does not diminish by being shared. If one person claims their portion, the supply does not shrink for another. It multiplies as it flows because the law is infinite. One person's wealth does not come at the expense of another. This truth destroys the lie of competition, the false belief that for one to have another must lose. When you rise into abundance, you do not take from the world, you contribute to it. When you truly understand the divine law of supply and abundance, money loses its power to frighten you. You no longer chase it in desperation or guard it with trembling hands. You command it with calm authority, not because you are greater than others, but because you have aligned yourself with the unbreakable rhythm of the universe. Money becomes your servant, not your master. It becomes a tool, not a tyrant. When storms come, when economies shake, when jobs disappear, those who understand divine law remain unshaken, for their trust was never in outer things. Their trust was in the source that cannot be exhausted. It is the same source that feeds the birds of the air, clothes the lilies of the field, moves the tides of the ocean, and turns the stars in their courses. That same power moves money. It is governed by law, not by chance. The divine law of supply and abundance is the great equalizer. It does not require brilliance or titles. It requires faith and alignment. It answers to the one who dares to believe that wealth is not only possible, but already theirs in the unseen form. And when that belief becomes unshakable, the outer world rearranges itself to match the inner truth. Money is not your enemy. It is not a distant dream. It is a reflection of your inner state. When you align with divine supply, when you release fear and speak abundance with unwavering faith, money comes not as a trickle, but as a flood. It answers to divine law, and divine law answers to faith. Faith is not a whisper of hope. It is the thunder of certainty. It is the unseen key that unlocks the overflowing storehouse of the universe. And once you hold that key, money has no choice but to respond. The words we speak are not merely sounds that disappear into the air. They are living forces, creative instruments, powerful keys that unlock doors, either to abundance or to lack. Every sentence uttered carries a vibration that either builds or destroys, and most people do not even realize the weight of what flows from their own tongues. The power to shape the outer world lies in the inner language we choose to speak. Words are the messengers that carry our faith or our fear out into the universe, and the universe, being obedient, simply echoes back whatever it receives. If we constantly speak about not having enough, about struggling, about what we fear, we are watering the weeds of lack. But when we begin to speak abundance deliberately, boldly, and faithfully, we plant seeds of prosperity that must eventually rise into visible form. Many speak casually without understanding their words have the power to bind or to free. They say things like, I can't afford this, money doesn't come easily, I'm always broke. And they say it not once but hundreds of times a day, like casting a spell against themselves. Each word sows a seed in the garden of the subconscious mind, and the subconscious does not argue, it accepts and grows what is planted. When you speak lack, the subconscious prepares the soil for lack. When you speak wealth, the soil shifts and begins to prepare for prosperity. It is a law as sure and unbreakable as gravity. Imagine the power of speech as a great river constantly flowing. If you direct it toward fear, doubt, and limitation, it erodes the foundations of your abundance. But if you direct it toward faith, gratitude, and prosperity, it waters the seeds of wealth and causes them to bloom. Words do not vanish after they are spoken. They continue to resonate, shaping events, circumstances, and even opportunities long after the moment of speaking has passed. A single declaration of faith spoken with conviction can open doors that years of struggle could not. A single phrase spoken in fear can close them. Again, when you declare abundance, the world listens. The forces that govern supply attune to certainty, not desperation. You do not beg the universe to respond, you instruct it. With faith you do not whisper, I hope it comes, you declare, it is already mine. That shift in language from doubt to certainty is like flipping a divine switch. It changes your inner state, and your inner state is the architect of your outer experience. When you say words like, I am prosperous, everything I need comes to me in perfect timing. I am surrounded by unlimited supply. You are not merely reciting sentences, you are commanding reality to align. Many people say affirmations as if they are weak requests. But true spoken power is not timid, it is alive, it carries weight. When you speak, you must feel your words as if they are already fulfilled. Speak, not as someone wishing, but as someone knowing. The universe does not respond to empty repetition. It responds to the vibration of belief. A single sentence charged with faith can outweigh 1,000 fearful whispers. The difference is in the energy behind the word. Words build inner structures before they ever touch the outer world. Your subconscious mind becomes the factory floor where those words are turned into form. Over time, repeated declarations build belief, belief builds expectation, expectation builds manifestation. Words are the blueprint, the mind is the builder, the outer world is the finished house. Many look at their life and see lack and speak of lack, and by speaking it, they build more of it. But when someone dares to speak prosperity, even in the face of emptiness, the blueprint begins to change. The walls of scarcity begin to crack. Speaking abundance is not lying to yourself, it is aligning with truth. The truth that divine supply is infinite, the lie is lack, the illusion is limitation. When you say, I am rich in divine substance, even when the outer bank account does not reflect it, you are calling forth what is already present in the unseen realm. Words act as bridges between the invisible and the visible. They pull tomorrow's wealth into today's hands. They reach into the spiritual storehouse and give form to what was once formless. The reason most fail to manifest wealth is not that the supply is not there, but that their words contradict their desires. They say, I want abundance, but their daily speech is filled with words of shortage. They declare prosperity in the morning and cancel it out with complaints in afternoon. They plant good seeds and then trample them underfoot. Their language reveals their inner state, and the law always obeys the dominant vibration, not the occasional wish. The greatest masters of abundance understand that their mouth is not a careless instrument, but a powerful wand. Every word is a command, and the universe is obedient. When they speak, they do so with precision, with awareness, with faith. They never speak of what they fear, they only speak of what they know is divinely. Theirs, they bless their finances, their opportunities, their paths with every utterance, and as a result, money flows to them in channels. Both expected and unexpected words also hold the power to shift the emotional state instantly. A declaration of faith spoken with power can lift the spirit from despair to certainty, and that change of state is the point where energy begins to move in your favor. If you stand in front of a closed door and say, "This door opens for me now," with true conviction, the vibration you emit begins to align with that reality. The outer door may take time to swing open, but the inner door opens instantly. And when the inner door is open, the outer must follow. People often underestimate the creative power of their ordinary conversations. When you sit with friends and speak of debt, struggle, and failure, you are weaving that reality more deeply into your life. But when you train your tongue to speak abundance, no matter where you are, you begin to rewrite the script. Your words do not need the approval of others, they only need the authority of your faith. There is a profound strength in declaring good when the evidence seems bleak. That is where true creation happens. Anyone can speak abundance when they are already rich, but the ones who transform their lives are those who speak it when their pockets are empty yet their spirit is full. That is where miracles are born. That is where faith turns words into gold. The divine law of spoken word is simple. Speak lack and lack appears. Speak abundance and abundance must come. The universe does not choose for you, you choose with your words. Every single day, your tongue is the pen and your life is the paper. What you write with your words, you will eventually read with your eyes. If you desire wealth, let your language reflect it. If you desire abundance, let your mouth become the instrument of its arrival. Speak wealth, speak faith, speak. And if it is already done, because in truth, once spoken in faith, it already is. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the quiet power that builds worlds, the unseen force that moves mountains that appear too large to climb. It is not loud but unshakable. It does not ask if something is possible, it knows it already is. Faith is the golden key that unlocks the door to divine supply. It is what turns thought into substance, words into reality, and desire into experience. Money, like all things in the material world, responds to the vibration of faith more than it ever responds to fear, logic, or calculation. Many people wait to see the evidence before they believe, but the law works in the opposite way. You must believe first, and then the evidence appears. You must trust before the door swings open. Faith is not hope. Hope is a wish. Faith is a knowing. Hope stands at the door. It knocks. Faith walks in and sits down as if the house already belongs to it. When you have faith in the unseen supply, you are no longer swayed by what your bank account says or what others whisper around you. You no longer beg for abundance, you claim it as yours, because it already is. Faith does not look at the empty hands and say, "I have nothing." Faith looks at the empty hands and says, "This is full of invisible wealth that is on its way to me now." That quiet inner certainty creates a current that draws money from unexpected channels, because divine supply does not need to explain itself. Faith is the bridge between what is promised and what is received. There is no distance too great, no gap too wide. When faith is in motion, it builds a path where none seems to exist. It parts seas. It creates doors in walls. It does not need to know how, because how is the work of divine order. Faith's only task is to believe and receive. The moment faith settles in the heart, the energy of manifestation begins to move around you. Things start aligning, people appear, opportunities unfold, paths clear, but none of it begins until faith takes root. Money is energy, and energy moves towards certainty, not doubt. It flows to the heart that believes in abundance, not the one that trembles in fear. Fear is a closed fist. Faith is an open hand. Fear says, "What if it doesn't work?" Faith says it already has. Fear clings. Faith releases and receives. When you look at money through the lens of fear, it becomes a wall. When you look at it through the lens of faith, it becomes a river. A river does not strain to flow, it simply moves. Faith allows the current of abundance to find its way to you without resistance. Many people try to control every step of how money will come. They demand logical explanations, visible paths, clear signs, but divine supply does not always travel on straight roads. It often moves in ways beyond human understanding. Faith is the only map that leads to it. It whispers, "Take the step," even when you can't see the next one. It urges you to trust the invisible bridge as if it were already solid beneath your feet. And when you take that step with unwavering certainty, the invisible becomes visible. When you truly hold faith in the unseen supply, You stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop worrying like one lost at sea. You stand still and let the tide bring the ship to you. You understand that abundance is already yours and faith is the magnet that draws it nearer. This does not mean you do nothing. It means you act from a place of knowing, not from a place of desperation. When you walk in faith, your steps carry power, your actions are infused with calm authority, rather than anxious effort. Faith is not passive. Faith is active energy. It is the decision to believe when the world shouts the opposite. It is the refusal to be moved by appearances. Appearances change. Every day, faith remains. Faith sees what others do not see. And because it sees, it calls it into being. Faith does not crumble when conditions look impossible. It grows stronger because the impossible is the perfect soil for miracles. Faith in the unseen supply is like planting a seed in rich soil. You may not see anything above the ground for a while, but underground the law is already at work. The roots are spreading, the life is stirring, and soon the visible will follow. But if you dig up the seed every day with fear, doubt, and worry, it cannot grow. The one who has faith plants the seed, waters it with gratitude, and walks away knowing the harvest is sure. They do not need proof every hour. Their proof is their inner knowing. Money begins to appear when faith becomes unshakable because the universe cannot resist a mind that is certain. A person of faith becomes magnetic. Opportunities that once seemed hidden begin to surface. New channels of income unfold in ways they could not have planned or forced. They may receive unexpected calls, ideas, resources, or doors that were invisible before, but these are not accidents. These are the natural consequences of faith at work. The outer world mirrors the inner world. If inside there is fear, the reflection will be lack. If inside there is faith, the reflection will be abundance. You cannot fake faith is not forced by repetition alone. It is built by conviction, nurtured through words, strengthened by gratitude. Faith grows when you stop allowing doubt to speak louder than your belief. It grows when you choose to trust, even when there is no visible evidence. Yet the law of divine supply does not respond to a shaky voice that says, "I hope it comes." It responds to the steady voice that declares, "It is already mine." And it is not arrogance to speak this way, it is alignment. The universe is abundant by nature, and faith simply places you in harmony with that abundance. When you align yourself with that law, money begins to flow like water to the lowest point. It follows the path of least resistance, and faith removes resistance. There is a stillness that comes with real faith, a calm assurance that replaces the noise of worry. When others are restless, you are centered. When others are fearful, you are focused. Faith gives you a quiet authority over your circumstances. You no longer feel like a victim of the world. You stand as a creator aligned with a greater source. You no longer chase after what belongs to you. You attract it naturally. And the beautiful thing about faith is that it does not require sight. It works best in darkness. When everything looks uncertain, faith shines brighter. When everything seems impossible, faith whispers, "It is already done." And in that whisper lies power. Mountains do not move because you beg them to. Mountains move because you speak to them with authority of faith. When faith is alive within you, money is no longer a distant dream. It becomes a natural extension of your belief. You trust that the unseen supply is already flowing in your direction. You may not see the stream yet, but you know it is there, and soon it will flood your reality. That is the power of faith. It creates before it is seen. It receives before it is touched. It knows before it is proved. And that is why those who walk in faith never truly lack. They live in abundance. Even before it appears, they hold wealth in their spirit before it reaches their hands. And once wealth lives inside of you, it has no choice but to manifest outside of you. Poverty begins in the mind long before it appears in the world. It starts as a quiet belief, a whispered thought that says, "I am not enough," or "I do not deserve abundance." It creeps in slowly until it becomes the background music of one's life, and before long the outer world simply mirrors what the inner world has accepted. The truth is, no one was born to struggle. No one was destined to live small. Every human soul was born with access to divine supply, infinite abundance waiting to be claimed. But the gatekeeper of that abundance is belief. The invisible barrier that keeps so many from wealth is not circumstance or education or luck. It is the belief that wealth is far away, or that one must suffer endlessly to deserve it. Every thought we hold creates a vibration, and the universe responds to vibration, not to appearance. Mind that believes in limitation broadcasts a signal of lack. and the universe obediently returns experiences that match that belief. The mind that believes in plenty broadcasts a signal of abundance, and opportunities begin to arise seemingly out of no. Where this is not magic, it is law. What is within must show without, but most people spend their lives fighting outer battles, while the real struggle is inside. They try to change the outer picture without changing the film in the projector. They work harder, chase faster, and worry longer, all while the inner belief still hums with the same old tune of not enough, and so they find themselves walking in circles. To remove limiting beliefs about wealth, one must first recognize them. They often hide behind everyday words and thoughts. When someone says money doesn't grow on trees, or it takes money to make money, or people like me can't get ahead, those are not facts. Those are beliefs spoken into existence and reinforced through repetition. The more they are spoken, the deeper they root into the subconscious. The subconscious mind is fertile soil. It does not question whether a seed is good or bad. It simply grows what it is given. When it is fed with thoughts of poverty, it produces conditions of lack. When it is nourished with thoughts of abundance, it yields prosperity effortlessly. To change belief, one must become aware of the silent self-talk that runs throughout the day. Listen closely to how you speak about money to yourself and to others. You say, "I can't afford this," or do you say, "I choose to spend my money wisely"? Do you say, "I never have enough"? Or do you say, "My supply is endless and always replenished"? Every phrase you repeat becomes a command to your subconscious mind, and eventually a decree to the universe. If you desire wealth, you must start by speaking like someone who is already wealthy, not in arrogance, but in faith. Words are the chisels that reshape belief. Once you begin to see your limiting beliefs clearly, you can start replacing them with truths grounded in divine law. You can declare, "I am worthy of prosperity because it is my natural inheritance. I am open and receptive to all forms of abundance. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways." You must say it until your mind starts to believe it. You must hold it until your heart begins to know it. At first, your old beliefs will resist. They will argue. They will whisper that you are lying to yourself, but you must persist until the new belief becomes stronger than the old habit. The mind cannot hold two opposing convictions forever. Whichever is repeated most becomes dominant. Removing limiting beliefs is not about forcing wealth into existence. It is about removing the walls that block what is already yours. The divine supply never stopped flowing. It was your disbelief that built a dam. When you release guilt around money, when you stop believing that spiritual people should not desire wealth, when you stop thinking that money corrupts you or that you must sacrifice your joy to earn it, then the flow returns naturally. Money is not evil, it is energy. It takes on the character of the one who holds it. When you align with good intentions and clear beliefs, money becomes a force for freedom, expansion, and blessing. To truly uproot limiting beliefs, you must also heal the emotions attached to them. Some people carry shame about past financial mistakes. Others carry resentment toward those who have more, and still others carry fear that if they gain wealth, they will lose it again. These emotional scars keep the mind in bondage. The law cannot deliver abundance to a heart still chained by fear and guilt. Forgive yourself for every mistake. Release every resentment toward those who prosper. Send blessings to those who are successful. For what you bless expands. The moment you stop judging wealth, you open yourself to receive it. Visualization is another powerful tool in transforming belief. The mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. If you see yourself living in abundance, feeling gratitude, using money wisely, and joyfully giving and receiving, your subconscious begins to accept that vision as truth. Soon your actions align with that belief and the outer world follows. Visualization is not fantasy, it is spiritual rehearsal. It is the act of showing your subconscious what to create. Gratitude accelerates this process. Gratitude dissolves the vibration of lack faster than any other force. When you give thanks, even before your desires have appeared, you tell the universe, "I already have what I need and more is on the way." Gratitude replaces fear with faith and turns waiting into receiving. You cannot be grateful and fearful at the same time. One will always dissolve the other. When gratitude becomes your daily language, lack has no place to live. Another way to break limiting beliefs is to immerse yourself in examples of abundance. When you see others prosper without guilt, when you witness generosity, that multiplies instead of diminishes. When you read stories of those who rose from nothing by faith, you expand your mental boundaries. Exposure expands belief. It shows your subconscious that prosperity is not rare, it is normal. Your environment is always teaching your mind what is possible. Choose wisely. What it teaches. The key to all transformation is persistence. Limiting beliefs have been built over years, sometimes generations. They will not vanish overnight, but every time you challenge them, every time you choose a new thought, a new word, a new emotional response, you weaken their hold. The day will come when your new beliefs feel natural, when saying, "I am wealthy" feels as true as saying my name. And when that happens, your outer life must follow, for the outer is nothing but the echo of the inner. The moment you stop seeing money as a problem and start seeing it as a reflection of belief, you reclaim your power. You realize that you are not a victim of economy or circumstance. You are the creator of experience. The same mind that once created lack can now create wealth. The same power that once built walls can now build bridges. When the belief in limitation is uprooted, abundance rushes in to fill the space, just as light fills the room when darkness is lifted. You do not have to earn abundance, you have to allow it. You do not have to chase wealth, you have to believe you are worthy of it. Removing limiting beliefs is simply clearing the fog so that the sun can shine again. And once the fog is gone, once the old stories are silent, once the mind remembers that it is one with divine supply, then prosperity comes easily, naturally, gracefully. You no longer fight for it, you attract it effortlessly, because your belief and your truth have finally become one. When a person chooses to act as if the money has already come, they step into the flow of a powerful spiritual law. Acting as if is not about pretending or deceiving yourself, it is about aligning your behavior with the reality you desire. Before it is manifested, it is about walking in the certainty that what you asked for is already on its way. It is a declaration of faith through action, not just through words. When someone acts as if abundance is already theirs, their energy shifts, their posture changes, their confidence rises. And the universe responds to that vibration with precision, because spiritual law mirrors what is believed and embodied, not just what is spoken. In passing, many wait for visible evidence before they change their behavior. They say, "I will be generous when I have more money. I will live joyfully when everything falls into place. I will trust when the door opens." But that is not how divine law works. Divine law responds to faith, not to waiting. When you begin to act as if the door is already open, it must swing wider. When you live with the energy of abundance, even in the presence of an empty wallet, the outer world begins to rearrange itself around that inner certainty. Acting as if is a language the universe understands perfectly. It says, "I believe, therefore I move." When someone acts as if they are already prosperous, their choices become rooted in calm assurance, not fear. Instead of clutching tightly to every coin, they begin to release with confidence, because they trust that more is coming. Instead of walking timidly, they walk as if the ground beneath their feet is paved with opportunity. They do not spend recklessly, but they also do not shrink in fear. Every step they take, every word they speak, carries the vibration of someone who knows their supply is endless. When that energy becomes consistent, money begins to flow through channels, both expected and unexpected. Acting as if is also about the posture of the mind. When you think like someone who already has what they desire, your thoughts rise from scarcity to abundance. A person in lack thinks in limitations, but a person in abundance thinks in expansion. They no longer ask, "How will I survive?" They begin to ask, "How can I create? How can I serve? How can I multiply?" Because in their inner reality, they already possess what they once longed for. This mental posture opens the gates of creativity and intuition. Divine guidance flows more freely to a mind that stands in faith than to one buried in doubt. This way of living does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing to hold the higher reality of divine supply above temporary appearances. It means walking in trust even when logic tries to shake you. When someone receives a promise, they do not wait until the day of fulfillment to celebrate. They prepare in advance because they know it is sure. Likewise, when you believe abundance is yours, you do not wait for it to show up to live in joy. You celebrate now, you plan now, you make decisions from a place of certainty, not hesitation. When you act as if the money has already come, the energy of fear begins to lose its grip. Fear thrives on uncertainty, but faith thrives on conviction. The one who acts as if has already removed doubt from the equation. They no longer approach life asking, will it happen? They move as though it already has. That vibration pulls resources closer. It draws in opportunities. It turns invisible pathways visible because the universe responds not to hesitation, but to confidence. Consider how differently a person speaks when they believe their needs are already met. Their language becomes firm and expectant rather than weak and doubtful. They speak blessings over their finances. They declare doors open. They speak of what they are building, not of what they lack. This language, backed by action, is irresistible to divine law. Words alone may inspire, but when they are followed by action, they create momentum. It is like planting a seed and watering it every day. The seed must break through the soil eventually, because the gardener acted as if the harvest was sure. The principle of acting as if also removes the heaviness from waiting. Instead of sitting in anxiety, counting minutes, and worrying about how things will unfold, the person moves with lightness, because in their heart the manifestation has already happened. The waiting turns from fear into preparation. The mind begins to make space for what is coming, just as someone expecting a guest prepares the room before the guest arrives. They don't wait for the knock on the door to start arranging the house. They prepare in faith, because arrival is certain. This state of inner assurance naturally guides one to inspired action, not desperate effort. When fear rules, a person acts in panic. They make choices from a place of lack, and those choices create more lack. But when faith rules, they take calm, decisive steps. They follow intuition. They invest time, energy, and words wisely. They do not chase, they attract. Acting as if removes resistance, because it replaces frantic effort with calm authority. This practice also transforms the emotional atmosphere around you. Emotions are powerful messengers. When you act as if abundance is already yours, your emotions rise to meet that belief. Joy begins to flow, peace settles in, gratitude blooms even before the outer result arrives. And gratitude is a magnet for more of what you desire. Acting as if turns you into a living magnet for prosperity, because you are not waiting for the blessing. Feel blessed. You are already walking in the energy of receiving. When people act as if they are wealthy, they often begin to treat themselves and their environment differently. They carry themselves with confidence. They care for their surroundings. They speak differently about their future. They stop settling for what does not align with abundance. They make space for greater things because they know something greater is coming. The universe reads that energy as a command, not a question. The power of acting as if lies in its ability to collapse the distance between now and the desired outcome. Faith collapses time because it lives in the end result, not in the struggle. Acting as if trains the subconscious mind to accept the new reality as normal. And when something becomes normal to the subconscious, it no longer resists it. It attracts it effortlessly. The outer world simply rises to match the inner conviction. Every person who has ever manifested great abundance has understood this principle. Whether they spoke it in spiritual terms or not, they believed it before they saw it. They acted as if the outcome was certain. They built before the money came. They moved before the opportunity appeared. They prepared before the miracle. They trusted that the universe would meet them on the other side of faith. And it did. When you begin to act as if the money has already come, you step out of the waiting room and into the flow. You stop looking at the clock. You stop asking when and how. You begin to live in the truth that abundance is already yours. The universe rushes to fill the space created by that certainty. This is not pretending. This is spiritual authority. Faith through action speaks louder than any words. And when your words and actions align, the world cannot help but respond. When you truly awaken to the reality that money is not a force outside of you, but a mirror of the energy that flows within you, your entire world begins to shift. Every coin, every note, every opportunity is already woven into the fabric of your life, waiting not for your struggle but for your alignment. The world has taught many to chase money with fear, with doubt, with anxiety. But the deeper truth is that money is a faithful servant of unwavering faith. It does not respond to desperation. It responds to certainty. It bows to the one who speaks with power, not with pleading. It flows to the one who stands firm in their spiritual authority and refuses to accept lack as their portion. When your inner dialogue is saturated with faith, the universe has no choice but to echo that faith back to you in tangible form. Speak abundance, and abundance answers. Walk with confidence, and prosperity bows before you. The invisible law that governs this world is not bound by your logic. It is bound by your belief. You may not see the river, but if you declare the river flows, soon you will feel its cool water upon your feet. Many live believing in scarcity, and therefore they see scarcity. But when you dare to shift from fear to certainty, the unseen responds like a loyal servant rushing to fulfill your command. Money is not meant to be chased. It is meant to be commanded through faith, filled words, and bold expectation. There comes a moment in every life when the soul must decide what it will believe. Will it bow to the illusion of lack, or will it rise with authority and speak abundance into existence? That moment defines destinies. Those who choose fear build walls, but those who choose faith open gates, and through those gates flows everything they need, often in ways they never imagined. The path is not about how hard you work in the physical world, but how deeply you anchor yourself in the unseen. The outer world bends to the inner command. Speak with hesitation, and the universe will hesitate. Speak with fire, and creation will move mountains to obey. Understand this truth. The law is not swayed by your emotions. It is activated by your conviction. You can weep and beg, but begging is not faith. Faith does not whimper. Faith declares. Faith stands tall even when the evidence seems against it. Faith looks at the void and calls forth gold. Faith sees the empty hand and calls it overflowing. When your heart and words align with unshakable certainty, money cannot resist you. It has to obey. It is not personal. It is law. Every spoken word is a seed, and the soil of the universe never rejects a seed planted with power. You may have spoken words of fear in the past, and they bore the fruit of lack. But today, you have the power to plant new words, words soaked in abundance, words dripping with faith, and those words will bear a harvest of prosperity, just as surely as the sun rises. The one who understands this does not worry about when or how. They know that faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. When your belief becomes unshakable, the timeline no longer matters because manifestation is inevitable. Do not give your energy to doubt, for doubt is the thief of your treasure. Doubt whispers, "What if it doesn't happen?" Faith answers, "It already has." Doubt paralyzes, faith commands movement. Doubt looks at the door and knocks timidly. Faith walks through as if the door has already swung wide open. And that is the power that makes money appear in unexpected places, through channels unseen, through people you've never met, through opportunities that were hidden in plain sight. The invisible world listens to your every word, not to test you, but to obey you. The energy of money listens for certainty. It listens for the voice that knows, not the voice that hopes vaguely, not the voice that trembles, but the voice that declares, "Wealth flows to me effortlessly." And when that voice rises, the law moves, circumstances shift, delays dissolve, resistance melts. It is not magic, it is alignment with the divine flow. There will be moments when appearances contradict your faith. The outer world may seem stubborn, unmoving, fixed, but this is where most people give up, and this is where the few rise above. For faith does not bow to appearances. Appearances bow to faith. This is the moment when your inner power must burn brightest, when your declarations must ring louder than the evidence. For the unseen is stronger than the seen, and the seen is only the shadow of your past words. If you want to change the shadow, you must speak to the light. Each time you affirm abundance with conviction, you are writing a new script for your reality. You are giving commands to the universe, and the universe is incapable of ignoring a voice of faith. Your part is not to worry about how. Your part is to believe without flinching, to speak without trembling, to know without seeing. The how belongs to the divine intelligence that governs all things, and it is far more creative, far more powerful, and far more efficient than your limited logic could ever imagine. When your words and your faith walk hand in hand, money flows like a river to its source. You stop being a beggar of abundance and become its master. The one who commands with certainty does not chase opportunities. They magnetize them. They do not fear bills. They declare provision. They do not shrink before challenges. They speak victory into existence. And the law of abundance has no choice but to respond. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual law. This is the invisible power that turns lack into overflow. Every person who has ever experienced a financial breakthrough has touched this truth, whether knowingly or not. And when you live by it consciously, money ceases to be a struggle. It becomes a faithful servant to your unwavering faith. Stand tall, speak boldly, believe fiercely. The world bends to faith, and money, like everything else, bows before the power of certainty. When you understand that money is not an external master but an obedient servant of the invisible law, something powerful awakens within you. There is a moment when the mind stops chasing and begins commanding, when the heart stops doubting and begins declaring, when the spirit stands firm and refuses to accept lack as its destiny. In that moment, money no longer feels distant. It no longer hides behind fear, effort, or limitation. It responds to the vibration of certainty. It moves toward the voice that knows it is already provided for. The great secret is not in the struggle, but in the spoken word backed by unwavering faith. Money obeys the one who knows they are abundant long before the evidence arrives. This law does not operate on chance. It does not respond to confusion. It bends only to conviction. When a person speaks from a place of spiritual authority, the universe listens and moves. Words infused with doubt dissolve into nothing, but words wrapped in absolute certainty carve paths through the invisible realm and bring opportunities straight to your feet. The energy of wealth does not require your begging, it requires your knowing. To stand in your knowing is to live above fear, above lack, above the illusion that you must earn what is already yours by divine right. Many spend their lives knocking on doors that only open to the language of faith. They plead, they wait, they wonder why nothing happens, but the universe does not respond to begging, it responds to command. It listens to the one who says, "I am provided for," with such clarity that no alternative is possible. It listens to the one who declares, "Money flows to me with ease," with such force that the unseen rearranges itself to make it so. There is a difference between wanting and knowing. Wanting carries uncertainty, knowing carries power. And power commands. The law is simple but profound. Whatever you speak with unwavering faith must take form. The invisible listens. The energy of abundance listens. The channels through which money flows listen. And when they hear the tone of certainty, they open wide. But when they hear fear, hesitation, or lack, they remain closed. That is why the greatest breakthroughs do not come through panic or endless striving, but through stillness anchored in spiritual authority. The one who knows does not panic. They speak once and hold their ground, watching the world shape itself around their word. Money obeys the one who understands their rightful inheritance. Lack is not your portion. Struggle is not your birthright. You were not sent into this world to scrape and beg. You were sent here to command through faith, to walk in abundance as naturally as you breathe. The river of wealth is not somewhere out there. It flows beneath your very feet, waiting for the key of your certainty to unlock its current. Every time you speak a word of abundance with conviction, the river stirs. Every time you hold your ground in faith, the flow intensifies. It cannot resist the one who stands in their spiritual authority. Even when the outer world shows no sign of change, the inner knowing must not waver. This is where most fall short. They speak with strength once, then grow silent when the evidence delays. But faith does not retreat. Faith holds its ground until the seen catches up to the unseen. Appearances are merely echoes of your past beliefs. If they do not yet reflect your abundance, it only means your words are rewriting the script. Hold steady. The unseen is already shifting, already aligning, already delivering what belongs to you. Money does not come through fear. Fear closes doors. Fear tells the river to stop flowing. Fear whispers lies of scarcity that have no root in divine law. But faith opens gates wide. Faith speaks to the mountain of lack and tells it to move, and it must move. Faith speaks to the closed door of opportunity and commands it to open, and it opens. Faith speaks to the invisible and brings it into visibility. This is not a theory, it is a law. and the law never fails those who know how to stand firm in it. When you speak with the authority of someone who knows they are supported, money comes not through struggle but through flow. Opportunities find you, solutions appear, unexpected avenues open. People who carry your blessings are drawn to you without effort. The world may call it coincidence, but it is alignment. It is the spiritual law responding to your unwavering certainty. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer strive, you command. You no longer fear, you reign. Your words are the keys to the kingdom of abundance, but not just any words, words soaked in faith, words that carry no trace of doubt. A single word of command, spoken with spiritual certainty, has more power than 1,000 fearful prayers. That is why it is not the number of words that matters, but the strength behind them. Speak as one who already has, and the universe must deliver. Speak as one who hopes, and the universe will wait. Speak as one who doubts, and the universe will remain silent. There will come a moment when your outer world tries to contradict your inner truth. This is the test of faith. It is the moment where many step back, but the ones who experience true breakthroughs are those who step forward. They declare louder when appearances say no. They speak bolder when lack tries to speak. They command when others would beg, and in doing so, they unlock the floodgates of abundance that were always waiting to be opened. The energy of money listens for strength. It listens for certainty. It listens for the voice that knows. And when it hears that voice, it moves mountains, bends timelines, rearranges paths, and delivers wealth in ways far beyond logic. That is why the most powerful step you can take is not frantic action, but unwavering declaration. Speak your abundance as law. Declare your wealth as fact. Stand as if the answer is already here, because it is. The river of abundance does not hesitate. It flows endlessly. It is only the dam of doubt that blocks it. And when the dam is broken by a single bold word spoken with faith, nothing can hold the flood back. Money rushes in from directions you never imagined. Life aligns in your favor, and what once felt distant becomes your daily reality. So speak not as a beggar of wealth, but as a commander of it, for money obeys the one who knows they are already abundant. Money does not arrive because you plead for it. It comes because your energy calls it with certainty. It does not flow to the hesitant or the fearful. It flows to the one who stands rooted in spiritual authority and speaks as if it is already done. When your voice carries the vibration of absolute belief, the universe does not question. It does not ask if you are worthy. It does not delay out of doubt. It simply obeys. It bends circumstances, aligns opportunities, shifts timelines, and arranges people in perfect sequence to bring your declaration into physical form. Money listens to certainty. It bows to unshakable faith. It responds to the one who knows, not the one who hopes. This is why two people can say the same words but receive different results. One speaks with uncertainty, planting a seed in rocky soil, and wonders why nothing grows. The other speaks with authority, planting a seed in fertile ground, and watches abundance rise swiftly. The difference is not in the words, but in the power behind them. The universe responds not to language alone, but to energy. The energy of faith carries weight. It carries command, and when your words carry that weight, money moves. You were never meant to live in a constant chase. You were never meant to run after money like a lost traveler seeking shelter. Money was designed to follow you, to answer your voice, to be a reflection of your inner certainty. When you rise in the awareness of your spiritual power, you no longer see money as a distant goal, but as an obedient servant. And an obedient servant does not lead, it follows. It flows where your certainty directs it to flow. The river of abundance is always moving. It does not dry up. It does not disappear. But for many, it is blocked by the dam of fear, doubt, and unworthiness. Every fearful thought is another brick in that dam. Every doubt-filled word is another stone. But every faith-filled declaration cracks that structure. Every moment of unwavering knowing breaks it down. And when it finally falls, the flow is unstoppable. The river floods your life with opportunities, ideas, wealth, and unexpected blessings. Not because the river suddenly appeared, but because it was always there, waiting for you to believe. Faith does not whisper. Faith commands. It does not hope timidly. It declares boldly. It stands tall and says, "Wealth is mine. Money flows to me freely. Provision surrounds me. Abundance is my natural state." And when you speak like this, not just with your lips, but with the full force of your inner being, the law of abundance cannot resist. It must answer. It must manifest. It must obey the energy of divine certainty. Many live their lives treating money as if it is more powerful than they are. They bow to it. They fear it. They chase it. But money is not a master. It is a mirror. It reflects your belief, your energy, your inner posture. If you see yourself as lacking, it mirrors lack. If you see yourself as abundant, it mirrors abundance. If you speak from weakness, it remains silent. But if you speak from spiritual strength, it moves like a loyal servant to fulfill your word. Your inner state determines everything. A person who truly believes they are already provided for does not shrink at a bill. They do not panic when opportunities seem scarce. They do not waver when appearances show delay. Instead, they speak into the silence and declare the flow of provision. They hold their posture like a king who knows his decree has already gone forth. And because the law cannot ignore such a voice, the money must come. It comes in perfect time, often through unexpected doors, sometimes in ways the rational mind could not predict. But it comes because it must. Faith is not pretending. Faith is knowing. It is not playing a role. It is stepping into your rightful position as a co-creator of your reality. When you speak your abundance, you are not trying to convince the universe. You are activating what already belongs to you. You are opening the gates that fear tried to keep shut. And once those gates are open, nothing can stop what is meant to flow to you. Doubt may try to visit, as it often does, whispering lies that your words don't matter, that you are not powerful, that lack is your reality. But doubt is a shadow, not a truth. Shadows only exist where there is light. When you stand firm in your certainty, doubt has no foundation. It crumbles beneath the weight of your faith. Your word is law when it is backed by unwavering belief, and the universe is bound to honor that law. Money does not care where you start from. It does not care about your past, your mistakes, or your circumstances. It responds only to your present vibration. If your vibration is fear, it keeps its distance. If your vibration is certainty, it rushes toward you. This is why people who once had nothing can rise to abundance when they shift their inner state, and why people who seem to have everything can lose it when they let fear and doubt rule their words. The flow is not determined by external status, but by internal alignment. Every declaration you make is a seed. The universe is the soil, and money is part of the harvest. You do not have to dig up the soil to check if the seed is growing. You do not have to question if the process works. The law of abundance works like the law of gravity, unchanging, unwavering, unstoppable. If you plant faith, you will reap wealth. If you plant fear, you will reap lack. Your job is not to worry about how the harvest will come. Your job is to keep speaking, keep believing, and keep standing in certainty. In this truth lies freedom. You no longer fear lack because lack is an illusion. You no longer chase money because money is drawn to your energy. You no longer question your worth because abundance is your birthright. You speak with power. You live with faith. You act with confidence. And the invisible world responds with perfect obedience. The moment you stop seeing yourself as a beggar and begin seeing yourself as a commander, the world shifts. Money flows differently. Opportunities appear effortlessly. Delays dissolve. What was once a struggle becomes a natural rhythm of receiving, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with the law that governs it. Speak with the fire of someone who knows. Stand with the strength of someone who already has. Move with the confidence of someone who commands, not chases. For money does not lead the one who knows their power. It follows, it obeys, it manifests. Always, money is not moved by fear, nor by begging, nor by uncertainty. It is moved by the unwavering energy of a soul that knows. It responds to the one who stands tall, who speaks with power, who walks as if the treasure is already theirs. When your inner being is anchored in spiritual certainty, the world has no choice but to align. Doors that were locked begin to open. Paths that were hidden begin to appear. People and opportunities find their way to you without resistance. This is not chance. This is not luck. This is law. Money is obedient to the vibration of authority, and it cannot resist the voice of absolute faith. Most people chase money as though it holds power over them. But true abundance flows to the one who understands that power does not lie in the paper, the numbers, or the opportunities. The power lies within. Money is only an echo of your inner state. When you fear it, it flees. When you doubt, it hides. But when you command with unshakable belief, it listens. It bends to your word. It follows your energy like a loyal servant returning to its rightful master. The great shift happens the moment you stop treating money as your master and start walking in the truth that it was designed to serve you. There is a river of abundance flowing around every person. It is not reserved for a chosen few. It does not belong to those who are more deserving or more fortunate. It belongs to those who align with it. Many stand beside the river but never touch its waters because they speak words of lack. They declare shortage with their fear. They imagine scarcity with their doubts. And the river, obedient to their energy, does not flow toward them. But the one who dares to speak in faith, who dares to declare abundance with no visible proof, commands the river to rise. And rise it does. The universe does not listen to your fears. It listens to your commands. It does not move for hesitation. It moves for certainty. A single word spoken with spiritual authority carries more power than 1,000 fearful cries. That is why money flows to some effortlessly. They have learned the language of power. They have learned to speak abundance not as a request but as a fact. When their lips declare, their heart already believes. And when belief is complete, manifestation is inevitable. Money listens for a certain tone, a tone that says, I already have, not I hope one day I will. It listens for the voice that is unmoved by appearances, untouched by delay, unshaken by obstacles. That voice is a force. It cuts through the invisible, it rearranges the scene, it brings the unseen into form, it calls opportunities from distant places, it opens doors no man can close, it turns scarcity into overflow because it carries the vibration of divine authority. And when you speak with that tone, the universe bows. But to speak with power, you must first silence the language of lack that has lived in your mind for too long. Every fearful thought is a chain that holds abundance back. Every doubt-filled word is a wall between you and your wealth. To walk in power, you must clear the inner field. You must uproot the weeds of fear and plant the seeds of faith. And when those seeds are spoken aloud with conviction, the harvest cannot be delayed. The law responds to what you speak and what you believe. Your words are not empty. They are commands. They are instructions sent to the unseen forces that shape your world. When you say, money flows to me, the universe begins to rearrange. When you say, I live in abundance, your reality begins to shift. The timing is not your concern. The form is not your responsibility. Your only task is to hold your certainty until the visible world bows to the invisible word. Faith is not shaken by time. Faith is not threatened by delay. Faith knows, when you stand in this power, fear loses its voice, lack loses its grip. Money no longer feels like a mountain to climb. It becomes a river that flows. It responds to your belief like a mirror reflecting your light. If your light is dimmed by doubt, the reflection fades. But if your light burns with conviction, the reflection grows brighter and brighter until abundance surrounds you in every form. There will be moments when appearances test your strength. You may look around and see bills, challenges, delays, silence. But these appearances are not final. They are echoes of yesterday's beliefs. They are shadows, not substance. The one who walks in authority does not bow to shadows. They speak light into them until they disappear. They do not waver because the unseen reality is stronger than what the eyes can see. They declare wealth when the evidence whispers lack. They stand firm, and because they stand, abundance bows. Money responds fastest to the one who refuses to back down, to the one who speaks their abundance in the face of contradiction, to the one who declares their wealth when others might crumble. This unwavering energy breaks barriers, dissolves resistance, and accelerates manifestation. The world must make way for a voice that speaks with unshakable faith. You are not powerless. You were never meant to live under the weight of lack. You were born to walk in abundance, to command with confidence, to live as a master of your reality. The universe does not favor the few, it obeys the certain. When you know who you are, when you speak from the power of that knowing, everything must align. Opportunities are drawn to you. Wealth moves toward you. Prosperity recognizes you as its rightful owner. This is not wishful thinking, this is law. Just as gravity does not choose who to work for, the law of abundance does not choose favorites. It simply responds to faith. It responds to the power in your word. It responds to the fire in your conviction. When your energy says yes without hesitation, the world rushes to match it. So speak your abundance without fear. Declare your wealth without apology. Stand in your spiritual power without compromise. Let your words carry the weight of someone who already possesses what they desire. Let your energy speak louder than the silence around you. For money has no choice but to follow that voice. It obeys certainty. It answers faith. It bows to authority. And when you rise in that authority, the flow of abundance becomes not a dream, but your daily reality. Money flows not to those who doubt, but to those who know. It moves toward the soul that stands in authority, the heart that beats with certainty, and the voice that carries power. It does not respond to weak whispers of maybe. It responds to bold declarations of it is done. When your energy aligns with absolute faith, the universe does not delay. It does not debate. It obeys. It reshapes circumstances, moves people, shifts paths, and bends reality to match the vibration of your inner command. This is not chance. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual law in motion. Money follows authority, and the moment you step into yours, everything begins to move. Many spend their lives chasing money, fearing lack, and hoping for miracles, but they never realize that the miracle begins within. The moment your words stop begging and start commanding, the entire field of energy around you shifts. The flow of wealth listens for confidence. It listens for strength. It listens for a voice that does not waver even when the evidence has not yet appeared. Money does not respond to external effort alone. It responds to internal power. It bows to conviction. It follows certainty like a shadow follows the sun. Every person has this power. No one is excluded. It is not for a chosen few or the fortunate. The law of abundance is as impartial as the law of gravity. It responds to faith, not status. It answers authority, not luck. The moment you stop seeing yourself as someone who must earn every drop of abundance through struggle, and instead see yourself as a commander of that abundance through spiritual law, the entire story changes. What once felt heavy becomes light. What once felt distant draws near. The flow of wealth has no